I use the heat gun because I am very impatient and I don't want to wait for the paint to dry before I add more. It's funny because painting on lives makes me so much more productive than if I weren't being watched by people. Little fuzz on my brush there. Because normally it's like, you know, I paint a little section, put some paint down, and then if I don't want to use the heat gun, I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to wait for it to dry, and then I start looking at my phone, and before you know it, 30 minutes goes by, scrolling Reddit or Instagram or whatever, and I move a lot slower painting that way. I like to do the eyes early so I don't have just like empty gaping voids staring back at me as I finish the painting. I think it just makes it cuter to look at and gives me more motivation to finish the rest of the painting, to see the finished eyes already in the beginning. And then I like to do the nose and the nostrils because those are often the darkest spots on a dog, and having those super dark areas mapped out early lets me know, kind of informs me how dark I need to make the rest of the painting around the dog or around that super dark area. I want to make the top of the nose a bit blue, so I'm trying to get a good color mix that I like. I think that's good. Once this dries, it'll look a lot lighter too. And then once I get the basic colors in for the nose, I'll figure out the rest of the details later, but then I start looking for the other super dark spots on the painting or on the photograph and fill those tiny little lines in. Because they do act as landmarks later on in the painting. When I do like a big wash of color, the pencil lines disappear. So I try and get these super important spots in that I want to remember, you know, in relation to where everything else goes later in the painting. The collar, even though it's dark, I usually save that for last because it, you know, sits over the dog's fur, so visually it makes sense to do it last, when I can just layer over, and also it's the fastest part. But I try, like, it's tricky when you do put a bunch of dark color down first in watercolor because technically you can lift it back up on accident when you do brush water over it, and like the fur right here is super light colored. So if I were to put black down now and then do a big wash of super light color, that black might bleed into it. So I'm gonna wait on that. And let's do the ear. He's got kind of pink ears inside, so I'll just throw some of that down. Use the heat gun real quick. Painting of this size will usually take me probably, I don't know, like 5 hours or so, like actually sitting here at the painting, 5 hours. Now, if I'm looking at my phone or getting distracted between that, it usually takes me, you know, 5 hours over a day or two, couple days. Some of my earlier paintings at this size used to take me, you know, like 15 hours to do, and I've gotten a little bit faster. But I think when I was doing those ones that were taking me 15 hours, I mean, I was watching TV shows while I was doing them, and then I was doing a lot of detail in them, and I've gotten better at finding faster ways to kind of cheat the detail but still make it look good, so I don't have to spend so much time. And I was also selling them for only like $40 at that point. Can't do that anymore. I'm sure I'll go back over and darken that ear up, but for now I'm just gonna move on. A lot of times with dogs with fluffy ears, I use the stuff at the end of the painting and just put white wispy hairs over the top of the colors I've put down, and it always makes it look good.